Hello YouTube, what's up? My name is Chicken Fried Rice, and welcome to one long-ass game of Ruse. Now today we are going to be playing some D-Day. This is a 3 versus 3 map. It's probably one of the biggest 3 versus 3 map in my opinion. And I'm playing as Russia, so right off the bat I go for a rush start against the Japan guy. Fortunately for me, I get double teamed by Japan and Britain, which eventually leads to me having to play defensively while our two players my two allies double team this guy on this front. So it's really an interesting game. It's about who can hold out and who can push harder. So I start off the game going for a really fast rush. Now, unfortunately for me, British guy starts sending over fighter bombers, an air recon. Japan guy gets an air recon and fighters. So basically everyone's trying to screw me over right now. They really don't want me to push on this dude over here. On the other side of the thing, this is something you guys should know about D-Day. This is something very important. Whenever you're playing here or here, you want to secure this city. This guy does the complete opposite. He does not do that. The first building you want to build when you're playing D-Day here is you want to build a secondary HQ here, and from there you build barracks there, and you build another barracks there, and then you take over everything. And that's really how you want to be doing it. Now, it doesn't always work, but if you're able to secure that town, you've secured yourself a very good position to win the game. Another town you want to secure is here in D-Day. Now, this one is a lot harder, and then the next spot you want to secure is here. Now, usually this spot doesn't see a lot of action. This town sees a lot of action very often. Same thing for this town. Now, when it comes to this town, what you usually want to do is, if you take this town, you want to create a perimeter around it. You don't want to just put units in the town and hope that'll hold it, because when you hold this town, you want to be able to take those depots, which give you money. So, you know, you have all these things that you really want to pay attention to. And whenever you're playing any game of Ruse, make sure that you stack infantry. Like right here, the Japanese guy doesn't put anything here. Now, I didn't put anything there because I wasn't focusing on there, but if he would have decided to make a push here, it would have been good to have some infantry there, you know, just in case. So I set up a secondary HQ here, and I start going into that town, you know, take it over and all that. Now right here, this guy's not exactly being a very effective builder. He is going artillery, and basically he gave up the town to this guy, and if you look carefully, this guy has a shit ton of money now. But what he didn't do is he didn't camouflage any of his units. Well, actually, he did put a camouflage net, but the Willie has very, very good recon range. And that adds up to the fact that, well, he can just arty out a few of the depots before he can do anything about it. But really, you don't want to be going American artillery. In the meantime, there's a huge presence of British air and Japanese air. We have some Japanese air on our side, not very much, and which is a very big problem, because right now I'm being tag teamed by British and Japanese air with Japanese infantry. So basically my goal is to try and be aggressive, but in such a way that I'm not pushing for territory, but I'm forcing them to do mistakes that will cost them more units than they cost me. Therefore allowing me to create more damage per cost, kind of thing. Or, yeah, you get the idea. Inflict more damage on their economy that they cannot mine. So I'm going to start trying to secure those depots. Fortunately for me, the British guy builds a giant fleet of bombers, and no matter how much AA you have, if it's all stacked in this city, the bombers will make it for sure. If I would have had that perimeter secured, which I didn't have the money for at the time, it was very difficult to do. See, this guy's coming in, he's trying to take out all my stuff. It's very difficult to secure the perimeter because I have the Japanese air. Anytime I try and push outside of my territory, the Japanese air just rolls in and is just killing me. And if I do get anti-aircraft out as a defense perimeter, he just sends in a bit of infantry, and that takes care of the problem. So it's really an issue because they have so much more money than I do at this point. So I can't afford to be spreading all my troops all over the place like an ideal anti-aircraft net. What I am doing though is I am protecting my base here, creating, and this is what's nice, is I'm creating a double anti-aircraft wall. He likes to come here and pick off these anti-aircraft wall, these AA guns. When he goes to pick off these guns, these guns fired at him, which is very efficient because even if he takes out my A gun, I'm taking down a 30, 20, 30, or even $35 plane. So I'm doing some serious damage every time he decides he wants to come in for a strafing run. So you see, I didn't put all my AA in one spot. I'm spreading it out everywhere. But really what I want to do is go here, get rid of all these recons. It's a very hard thing to do because if I send any units after them, they will just get shot by the enemy aircraft, which is why I eventually get an Air Force, even as Russia and Air Force can be useful, even if it's just for picking off recons, because Russia has Termoviks. But really, those recons were a big pain in the ass because I go to try and kill one, and then they would just send a fighter bomber and take out my units. So I really had no room. I couldn't push out. The only thing I could have done is maybe create like a wall of anti-aircraft guns, and then put infantry here and there. But I really didn't have the money. Like all this AA you see is all the money I can spare because I'm trying to save up to create more depots. And right here you see the British guy comes in for a massive bombing run. Now I lost a lot of aircraft guns. Also, this guy suffered huge losses. If you want to rewind that, you'll see he had like about 10 bombers and only 3 or 4 of them made it back. And when you think of it, that's about $150, around $150 to $200 that he just threw out the window to take out what $100 worth of AA. So I had massive losses on that. Not only did I lose my AA, I lost my depots, which is a big problem, and I lost the city. I'm going to lose my secondary and all that. So really, I'm in a bad position. So really what I do is I set myself up where I've already secured territory. I reinforce that, and I sit and endure while these guys are preparing a massive push. They're going to start preparing a massive push on this side. Now right here is this something that caused a bit of trouble. Is this infantry here. He sends a bunch of it here, and this guy doesn't notice. Eventually, later in the game, it comes back and bites us in the ass. Now I'm going to go 10 times the speed, so we might miss a few things here and there. But guys, this is one very long game of R.U.S.E. It lasted an hour and a half, which is one of the longest games I've been in for a good while. So right here you see the appearance of, well, Suzi's by the Japanese guy, which is great because now what they're starting to do is they're starting to pick off enemy recon planes, which is making my life so much easier. Right here you can tell I don't have any presence of infantry or anything in this city. I do have 3 T-34s trying to block that infantry from doing any movement. If he decides to do anything stupid with that, it will cost him some severe cash. And as you can see, the fact that Japan has $5 recons works to their advantage. He spams them out everywhere. He can go inside of my territory literally, and if I don't have an air force, then I have to chase him down for a half hour until enemy air comes and does damage. Now I start getting anti-tank guns, which is, in my opinion, a very good thing, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge them with these anti-aircraft guns. And by doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow myself to keep a minimum safe distance between me and enemy recon, try and push him back a bit. Right here, there's a massive infantry push. Problem is, with Russia, you can't out-infantry push them. As long as the guy has money, he can pump out 200 Russian infantry units in a second. Right here, what I do is I'm trying to be smart with my T-34s. This guy's doing some stuff here with his infantry. Right here, I go for a push. Unfortunately for me, I really shouldn't have done that because it really cost me all that infantry, which was not a smart thing to do. Since this guy had bombers, he basically did in 10 seconds. Now, looking here, you can see enemies starting to move down the middle with a giant stack of infantry. It's already starting to be too late for these guys, and as you guys can see, this is going to be a major game changer. We were in a very, very good position until this happens. So, Japanese guy goes paratrooper crazy, trying to stop the American forces. But what the American guy does is basically, he doesn't capture anything. He sets his troops up so that they destroy every single building, and he's having issues pushing them back because he doesn't have any units to push them back with. And by doing that, what the American really did is he allowed recon for this Japanese Air Force that was building up outside on the coast. And really that did some massive damage. So at this point, I was really the main player with the economy. This guy had 4 admins left, and the Japanese guy surrendered and left the game. and I only have, what, 6, 7, 8 admins, and there's no more depots in play right now. It's impossible to secure this city. It's too risky for us. This we should have bombed. I don't know why we didn't do it earlier, because there was absolutely no AA. But yeah, so there's all these things you have to take into account. Now, here comes a Japanese dude with another infantry rush. So as you can tell, I see it coming, and I counter spam with a huge amount of Russian infantry. And on the same time, you guys are going to see what he does. He's trying to be sneaky. He comes in, tries to take out some AA, and I suffer some big losses on AA. But he pushes his recon forward, and what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and sandwich my T-34s here with the infantry. And really, what happens is I had infantry hidden here. Just for that, so I backed up my T-34s, I put the infantry in the middle. By doing that, I completely destroyed their infantry. I suffered some casualties, but I was facing horrible odds, and I really turned them into my favor. So right here you see a few infantry just going up and attacking that one OI, which is not very smart, if you ask me. Kind of a waste of infantry. But, like, you know, sometimes you lose track of what's happening. Right here, American guy helps me out. He sends over a few super Pershings to help beef up the area, as you would say. And right now, I'm just not really doing much. I'm starting to get Sturmovix, which, because Russia has very, very good fighter bombers, and I keep making admins. Now, if you look at the admins on each team, you'll notice that our team, we have a fair amount of total amount of admins. This guy's really rebuilt a lot rapidly, because he has this giant stack of units here that he just killed the British guy with. You guys missed it, but he did some massive damage, and now it's just us two versus the Japan guy. But when you look at it, the Japanese dude has a lot more admins than we do, and this is one of the big things. Is he started producing units like crazy, and we just bunkered up and held out while we started producing admins like crazy. Not as much my ally as me. You guys will see that a little later in the game. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward, because nothing much happens for the next 10 minutes, I would say. Alright, so we are back. This is about 7, 6, 8 minutes later in the game. And the American dudes built a sack, and really what's happened is a stalemate war so far is just small attacks versus small attacks, like small battles between 5, 6 units. Now, right now, the American guy made a massive stack, and what he starts doing is starts pushing in. I come in with my army of Sturmovix. I try and support him as much as I can. Really what he does is he pushes in deep and starts doing some massive damage with all of those units in that stack. And really his goal is to go as far into the base as possible to do some massive damage. So right here you see him, he's sending Pershing's reinforcements. And right there, I use my Sturmovix to stop one anti-tank gun, which is, well, one armored anti-tank gun. And also, you might notice that I have a giant stack of artillery for some reason. I decided to go artillery just because it's fun, and also it's very useful for taking out recon. Once you get a good amount of artillery, which is really not the build you should do, but it's frickin' fun. Like, this is not a strategical build what I'm doing right here. It's just fun as hell. You just can, like, get 200 artillery pieces. A guy sends an army of 20 Pershings at you, they will be long gone before they get anywhere near your base. The fact that artillery sucks, yes, but when you get it in a ridiculous amount, it is so effective, it is impossible to deny. Only problem is then you have to make a giant anti-aircraft wall protecting it, or else it will get killed. So right here I pull some units back. You know, I'm trying to create an air force that I'm going to send out to go and attack the enemy. Fortunately for me, this guy detected and started sending units out, so I figured that much out. So I send my army of Sturmovix there. In the meantime, what I start doing is I start making a lot of admins. You guys will see at the end of this game, I will have a ridiculous amount of admins. Basically split up this part. I'll go Air Force. I told the American guy I'll go fighter bombers. You go ground units, while I make a lot of admins. Because when you're going for cost efficiency, the American units are so much better. But when you're going for sheer power, the Russian, if you go with the IS-3s, those are really some of the few tanks that can stand up to the OIs. Because American Pershings cannot stand up to the OIs very well. All they can do is slow them down, but they're a lot cheaper, and they're a lot faster, which means you can get in close to do damage. Right here you have a giant stack of OIs and AT going up against Super Pershings, Jacksons, and armored anti-aircraft, which is always nice. So right here, the American stack is literally getting obliterated. They are dealing some damage back, but really they needed that help that I came in. My fighter bombers did some damage, and the American stack just obliterated everything Japan had right there in that moment live. And now you can see, I am starting to get some serious income going here. And I really get a huge amount of admins going. Now, the Japanese guy has so much more income than us, but we're using our units for their advantages while he's just abusing of his income and just throwing units at us because he feels like it. And while he's doing that, we're using the money we can save, or I can save, and we're just adding it up to the stack of admins that we have, which is really great. And I've created such a big anti-aircraft net that this guy really can't get anywhere without his with his aircraft near a base, which is a very good thing considering the Air Force he has. The problem is this is not the same deal for the American guy. If he would have wanted to, he could have sent an Air Force of bombers here. He never knew about this, by the way, but he could have sent an Air Force of bombers here, gone with a recon, and bombed all of his base, because this guy had like what, a few armored anti-aircraft guns, and that was pretty much the end of it. In the meantime, looking at my base here, I never made any recon or any anti-aircraft. Now, I don't know why I didn't, but it was kind of a bit of a risky move when you think of it, but I'm starting to get a fair amount of admins here, like a fair amount, I mean a lot. And I get a lot more later in the game. Right here you see my few Sturmovix. Now, it's not a giant army of Sturmovix what I have. I have a good amount though. They can do some damage. I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 airfields filled with Sturmovix? Yeah, about 4 airfields filled with Sturmovix. So that does some good damage against the enemy. It's not the best because he can just send in fighters and neutralize all them, but I only send them outside of the territory to either intercept bombers or attack, or else they're inside of my AA net, and if the enemy comes in there, then they get the advantage because my anti-aircraft guns are shooting at enemy fighters while they're trying to dogfight with my Sturmovix, which is so great. Right here you see me starting to produce a stack of IS-3s because I see that the American guy is really struggling to put up a strong force to counter the Japanese guy, because every time he pushes in, it gets countered without any problem. So right here you see me, I'm just pumping out admins like crazy. On the same time, I am making a lot and a lot of IS-3s. Now, I really want to get rid of this guy, so I make not even a fair amount. I make a shit ton of IS-3s because this guy's stuff has been bugging us for a long time. Here he sends this one aircraft, which I never noticed until now. I have no idea what he does with it, but I'm sure we'll figure out his intentions later in the game. Now, you can see here that the American dude has a giant stack of stuff, really, because he's not spending any of his money on admins. I'm spending about half-half at this point, but my half-half is a huge half-half. As you can tell, I have a lot there that I can use in money. So, this guy right now has a giant stack that is actually superior to mine, and so that's a big threat for me. The only difference is I have all my Sturmovix focused on him, but he soon realizes that the American dude's got it coming for him with this giant stack of units that he intends to use very, very soon. You know, the Japanese guy figures that out soon, I think, when the American dude attacks. Now, the attack doesn't go as well as you'd hope, but it does do a significant amount of damage. You know, with the American guy moving up, I don't know if I decided moving up. I'm not sure. I don't really remember. I know that I have a lot of admins at this point in the game. It's kind of ridiculous. Look at this. 3 admins. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, no, 2 admins in the secondary, but like out of nowhere. So right here you have a giant stack. Like, that Japanese stack is huge, and it is absolutely destroying the American stack. Although the American stack is putting up a very, very strong battle, is actually getting destroyed. I don't think that Japanese stack lost too many units. On my side, my stack is okay sized. It's getting bigger slowly and steadily, and all of a sudden I decide, you know what, I'm going to turn my artillery against these guys. If only I would have more artillery guns, then I would have routed every single unit. But that's really pointless. It's inefficient. It's inefficient, but it's really fun to make a lot of artillery. Think of it that way. And so I start running out of room here to make adamants, so I decide, okay, I've made enough. I make another prototype base to increase my unit production, because right now, that stack, I have 69 units, this guy has 101 units. Now the big difference is that I have anti-aircraft in my stack. He does not, so that makes his stack, well, I don't know actually if he has anti-aircraft or not, but his stack, let's see, yeah, he has some anti-aircraft, but it makes his stack a lot more powerful than mine right now. And I rapidly, once I devoted all my money to unit production, I rapidly was able to produce another 20 or so tanks, and then he decides to attack me, which is not smart, because surprisingly IS-3s are absolutely boss. They murk OIs and Japanese AT. You'll see here my IS-3s completely destroyed this guy. Like, look at this, I'm just driving into him. I'm not even suffering any casualties. I'm barely suffering casualties. Okay, look at that. That stack, the enemy stack, is just getting completely destroyed right there by my IS-3s. And I'm not even using a fanaticism. So for me, that was a big, big success. I never knew IS-3s could actually beat OIs so well. Right there you see me making a giant infantry rush. And soon enough, I start having more fun. You know what's funner than a giant stack of artillery? Which kind of got disappeared-ish. I don't know what happened to my giant stack of artillery. Did it get destroyed? Yeah, I think it might have gone destroyed for the most part. But you know what's funner than that? A giant stack of T-34s. So right here, American guy going in, and he's basically just trying to neutralize the base, destroy his capacity to rebuild an army. American guy makes a giant stack once again, and I have my stack there, and then I start making T-34s like a madman, because you know how I love T-34s, guys. They are by far my favorite unit in the game. Why? Because they're just fun to have so many of them. They come out so fast. Look at this. There's so many. Look at this. The stack is huge and is getting so much bigger. Look at this. I've been making the stack for about 3 minutes, and I already have 100 like something T-34s out. So that's pretty amazing. So he surrenders. That's sad. But as usual, guys, thanks for watching. Leave your comments below. Please subscribe. And if you enjoyed this video, or if you want to play with me or any of my friends on Steam, join our Steam group, and I will see you guys all next time.